Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy.
And I'm her daughter, Mickey.
And welcome to KiddieNomics. Yay! Welcome to another fun-filled edition of Kids Financial Literacy with KiddieNomics. Today we have an uber special guest, Miss Andrea Peart Williams. We are so excited to have Miss Andrea back on KiddieNomics. Hi, Timmy. Hey, Timmy, I just realized that you asked me a question back in November about your mom coming on KiddieNomics. Could you send me a message on that? You said you would like to see her on because she's a lawyer. We'd love to connect with her, okay? So if you want to send me a message or have your mom send me a message, that would be awesome. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I would like to first welcome all of the new kiddies that have joined KiddieNomics today. If this is your first time, hello. If it is your first time, please put it in the chat box. It's your first time and all of the kids will welcome you. And of course, we'd like to thank all of the returning kiddies that have come back to KiddieNomics week after week. We are uber thankful that you guys are here every week with us. Linda, I see your hand is raised. If you do have a question, please type it in the chat box, okay? All right, I'm gonna share my screen and start KiddieNomics. Give me 1 second. All right, welcome to KiddieNomics. All right, I really should play it, but I never do. Okay. Okay, so go ahead.
KiddieNomics will help kids ages 8+ develop a healthy relationship.
Slow down.
Towards financial literacy, helping to start off on the right path to have a successful financial future.
Okay, good job. All right, that's what we want for everybody. We want everybody to have a successful financial future. That's what we want for you. That's what I want for you. That's what she wants for me. And that's what KiddieNomics is about, is to help everybody have a successful financial future. All right, so of course, before we do roll call, let's just go through some of our housekeeping items, okay? Please always remember that we want to keep everybody safe on KiddieNomics. So we want to maintain a very safe, healthy, happy community. So please always remember that we don't want to see anything personal in the chat box, right? So no email addresses, personal addresses, phone numbers, how old you are. Like I will ask you how, like, your birthdays, if your birthday's coming up. Hi, if your birthday's coming up, then of course, please, put in hey, today's my birthday, or my birthday's coming up on so-and-so date, but please never give me your exact ages. And of course, please remember that every KiddieNomics webinar is recorded, right? And every KiddieNomics webinar is recorded and put onto our KiddieNomics YouTube channel. So if you do miss this session, or if you've missed something within the session, or we were going too fast, or you didn't maybe hear the answer correctly, you can always watch it back. I do post the videos usually by 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time of Friday night. So you'll be able to watch back KiddieNomics. Also, please remember, in the chat box, we have kids of all different ages. So we have kids that are, between 8 and 13, but kids watch with their siblings. So sometimes we have kids that are younger, and sometimes we have kids that are older. I would like everybody to be respectful of the chat box, and just keep in mind that the chat box is there. I love the conversations that happen, but try to keep it as clear as possible, because I go through to see your questions and your answers, right? So, and also please be respectful of everybody's answers and questions, okay? Because sometimes younger kids may not understand, and we just have to repeat it, okay? Because that's what KiddieNomics is for. KiddieNomics is for everybody to enjoy and have fun. Okay, I see the chat box is on fire, so let me, I see all the messages. Let me see. Let me just make sure. Haven't been here in a while. Hi, Koi. Oh, nice to have you back. Hi, Akira, Linda. All right, so let's do roll call. All right, so let's just tell us, where are you joining from today? Where are you joining KiddieNomics from today? Akira, Canada. Let's see. Koi, I was here on the first day. Were you? Oh, that's so awesome, Koi. Yeah, that's been almost 2 years. Can you imagine? Micah, England. Linda, you changed your name to Layla. Okay. Kelsey, oh, Kelsey, you're from Italy today? Anaya, Canada. Where else are we joining from? Akira's from Oshawa. Awesome, you're close to me. Linda's from France. Oh, that's nice. Bonjour, bonjour. Kelsey, you're from Greenland also. Okay. Nelma, you're from Canada. Brielle, Canada. HH, Canada. Linda, bonjour, bonjour. Comment ça va? Akira, you just went to the moon. You're from everywhere, so I got it. Universe, Earth, North America, Canada, Ontario, Burlington. You run the gambit. Good stuff. Stacy, Canada. Oh, you have my name, except I don't spell it with an E. Natalie, oh, you do French class. So does Michaela. She's in French immersion, so that's awesome. Okay, all right. And of course, did we miss any birthdays within the last week? So if it was your birthday this week and we didn't get to say happy birthday last week's ça va bien, ça va bien. Ça va très bien, actually. Can you let us know in the chat box if your birthday was this week, and we'll wish you happy birthday. All right, let's close the chat box. And
You gotta be kidding me.
I forgot Nikki again.
I'm just gonna leave when you forget about me.
I forgot her again. All right, Nix. Well, find somewhere. Where are you from today?
I'm from yeah.
You're from here?
No, I'm from your stomach.
Yes, you are from my stomach. All right. Yes, you are from my stomach. All right, let's get into our special guest, because today we are going to talk about a really important topic. And I am so glad Miss Andrea is back on KiddieNomics, because this is a topic I've always wanted to talk about on KiddieNomics, because this is going to help you guys with your empires that you guys are going to be building as you get older. So we're going to talk about scaling, how to scale your real estate empire today, which is a really, really important topic. So Miss Andrea Peart Williams is, in her experience, is diverse from teaching and fostering little ones to financial services to investing in residential and commercial real estate. She owns 2 corporations and also has a partner and co-owns a 3rd business with her sister-in-law that is dedicated to helping others build wealth through real estate. So everybody give a big KiddieNomics round of applause. Miss Andrea. Hi, Miss Andrea. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yes. Hi. Thank you for having me, Miss Stacy and Mickey. It's awesome to be here again. I'm looking forward to sharing the information today about, building a real estate empire. Can you hear me?
So looking forward to it. Yes, of course. Yep, we can hear you.
And thank you to those of you welcoming me in the chat. I appreciate that you are willing to listen and learn about something that is definitely an excellent way for you to begin understanding how you can build a real estate portfolio, right? Multiple properties, not just one that you own and live in, but multiples that you can rent out and provide maybe businesses to use, or others who are looking for a space to live. You can provide that for them.
You can go ahead and share your screen,
Okay.
Miss Andrea.
I can't hear. Oh.
Okay, Layla, I also, Linda, I changed your name to Layla as you asked me, okay?
Oh, yeah, it looks like you have to ask for it. Okay.
You have to press present, you can present it, like play it, and then it will
do this.
play.
Okay. So are we ready?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. Thank you again as I said, so secrets, the last time I was here, I taught you how to buy your first property. And this time we're going to talk about building on that and adding multiple properties to the first one that you buy. So let's begin. Miss Stacy has already shared a little bit about who I am and how I have, I'm working with my business partner, Kemba. I also have 2 corporations of my own. So I have always been fairly ambitious, creative, and I love working with people. I come to you as a mom, a wife, an investor, so someone who has been buying multiple real estate properties. And so investing is what I do for business now. I was a former school teacher and probably always a teacher, because moms even do that, right? Moms are fantastic teachers. And so this is my family here. And the reason why I do the things that I do, you don't, in real estate investing, you don't have to have any kind of license or designations, but I have studied and got my Bachelor of Arts in the university here in Toronto. And I have my Bachelor of Education, so that's why I taught for many years. So it's helpful, obviously, to have the knowledge that I have, but it absolutely isn't required. So if you want to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, you can do that in real estate investing without having to do, a specific designation like I've done. I've also been in financial services for years. So I have my life license, my mutual fund license, and my branch manager's license. So it does help complement what I do, but again, it's not required. So let's get into who here, and you can type it in the chat because I know that's the best way for us to communicate. Who here's always wanted to be a millionaire? Because I know that I did when I was growing up. And I think that today it's almost essential to be a millionaire in order to live probably the life that you want to be able to live. And guess what? 90% of millionaires are made through real estate. So that's 9 out of 10. So the chances of being a millionaire and having millions of dollars to your name when you buy and own real estate is significantly greater. And it's probably, for myself, I know that was one of the best ways to build wealth for myself, because it wasn't going to be as easy just doing what I did previously as a teacher. It was much more attainable this way, buying multiple properties. And so today, when Miss Stacy asked me to come and share how you can build on your original purchase or your first purchase, like we talked about last time, I thought that was an excellent opportunity to show you how you can, if you've been dreaming big and thinking big, you can keep doing that, and you can do that without changing a lot of what you did the first time around when you bought your first home. So we're going to look at the team of experts that you need, the benefits of real estate, which I know you know or remember maybe because we talked about it the last time I was here. We're going to talk about how you get financing and the steps to buying. I'll look at 2 of my first purchases that I made that sort of were I would say instrumental or pivotal in me feeling like, oh, I can do this. I did it once, I did it twice, I can do it again. And I know that you too can do it again. And then we're going to talk about how to add to that and what sort of, money and capital and where you can find the money and capital to do it more than once and more than twice and 3 times. Okay. We'll look at locations, types of properties, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how important it is to hold some of those properties that you buy long-term. And we'll look at the 10-year challenge, how it looks after 10 years, the money that accumulates in the properties, and multi-units and diversifying. Miss Stacy, do we have any questions so far that I should, be answering, or shall I just wait?
Let me just see. Okay, so kids, can we all pay attention to Miss Andrea?
They're probably still like,
Yes,
they're catching up.
Questions. They said they want to be. Some said they want to be a millionaire. Some said they want to be a billionaire. A couple of them, Andrea Williams, said she wants to be a billionaire, which is awesome.
Excellent.
Does anybody have any questions so far? Please type it in the chat.
Yes. And so
Timmy has a question. What inspired her to pursue her job? Because I think you were doing your introduction.
Yes. So what inspired me to be honest, was I read this magazine called Canadian Real Estate Wealth, and a lot of what I had read over time, like how The Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and those other books, a lot of them were American content. And when I found this book or magazine that was a Canadian content, and I saw a lot of Canadians doing it right here close to home, I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. So then I just started subscribing to that magazine. And I decided that instead of staying in the profession that I was in and doing that long term, I would find a way to leave teaching to do real estate investing full time, so that I could be the stories that I read in the books about Americans that were doing it, and also obviously Canadians. So that's a good question. I was motivated to see that others can do it already, and thought, yeah, I can do it too. So when you of real estates, we talked about some of these concepts before. Buying real estate, it's absolutely necessary, right? It provides you with somewhere to live, but outside of somewhere to live and call home, it's really good that it can provide you appreciation, because that means that the money, when you buy a property at one amount today, say 500,000, it starts to grow and grow. And that's why, and it grows without you really doing a lot. It's just time and the area and, location and the demand that helps that property value and costs go up. And so, yes, to those of you that want to be a billionaire, you can with owning your own business or owning real estate. It also can provide you income. So that's why I could leave my job as a teacher and buy, properties that not just pay, the cost of managing them, but after all the cost of managing, it also gives me an income, right? And that's why we buy and build businesses and have ownership, so that we can find ways to have that asset or that business provide us income and grow over time. Real estate is also sellable. I mean, you probably see lots of signs in your neighborhood showing for sale, and then soon it's sold, and it's deductible. So it gives you the opportunity to also get to keep more of what you earn and pay less taxes. And I know you've had tax experts here. So, those are, and you will continue to have experts that help you along the way. So you can build wealth with real estate owning. Even if you just own one, you can build wealth. But when you own multiples, then you're actually not just changing your status and wealth today, but you can change the future of your children and your children's children if you can pass on the real estate that you buy and the portfolio that you build. So it allows you to create a legacy and, of course, have freedoms. When you're an owner, you can have freedoms. Yes, Miss Stacy?
Yeah. Does everybody understand what deductible is? Does everybody know what the definition of deductible? Does everybody understand that word? Kelsey says no.
Okay.
Says yes. Joshua Nama says yes. Micah says yes. Layla says yes. Akira, no. Brielle, no. So
to deduct means that if you are generating income and you're reporting it, because we have to report and pay taxes on it, when you have certain types of expenses or costs that you incur, you can use those to reduce the total amount of income. So it's taking away. So to deduct means to take away. So if you have $100,000, but you have 10,000 of expensive, then you can type it in the chat. How much did you reduce your income? What is now your total income? Your total income now is 90,000. And so instead of having to pay taxes on 100, you're paying taxes on 90. And so that makes it, it means that you get to keep more money and you pay less to the government. Okay, so that's a deduction. And it's really important. The more deductions that you have, the more money that you earn, you can keep.
fantastic. I think, let me just see if there's any other questions. Yes, Sakira, you can do that. Nope, I don't think the kids have any other questions, but Timmy did answer your question. He said 90, she said 90,000.
Yes, excellent. And the more you can reduce that income, the better. So if you can get it down to 80 or 70 or 50, it means that you get to keep more, right? And that's how you build wealth as well. So there are legal, and these are not like you're doing them and they're acceptable, you're allowed. So the expenses are acceptable expenses. So what do you need to buy? When I talked to you before about buying your first property, I talked about you needed income, you needed some capital to put down on the purchase, and you needed to have good credit. You still need those things when you buy multiple properties, but when you're scaling and you're trying to grow your portfolio to have, 10 or 100, then you also need equity. Because I'm going to show you that, when you have equity in your property, you can then use that as well to buy properties. So the equity in your properties, you buy the property, say for 100,000, and 5 years later, it's now worth in GTA, that could double. So I could use that in 5 years from now, it could be worth 200,000. And the difference between what you bought it for and what it's worth, that's the equity. And sometimes as well, if you think about it, you're paying it down because you had a mortgage on it. And so the amount that you pay towards the mortgage every month, that 100,000 that you borrowed, it also forms the equity. So if you, after 5 years, have it, it's now worth 200,000, but you only owe 50,000, then that 150,000 is considered equity in your property. And so that equity you can pull out and use it to buy more properties or to build another business that generates income. So that's what we mean by equity. And so as you go to scale your real estate holdings, you need equity. You also need partners. So people, and you don't have to do it with partners, but it helps. And so when I partnered with my sister-in-law and other individuals that we have business relationships and partnerships with, it allowed me to buy more because now we're using not just my capital and money that I have, but their money and capital, their income, their equity. And so we can buy bigger units or we can buy more units, right? And then you also need to have cash flow. Because when you have cash flow and you go to a bank or a lender to borrow, they can see that you don't just have your income, but you have income coming in from the properties, and they'll use that income as well to give you more or lend you more, right? So these are really important, and if you're making notes and you're trying to remember, how to build a big real estate portfolio so that it can be millions or billions of dollars, these are really 3 important features. I mean, there's other things that we like, for example, having a corporation. And so you can add that too. Yes, Ms. Stacy, we have a question.
Yeah. Do you make a business? 1 second. Sorry. What, Kelsey? I'll get to your question. For partners, can we give examples of who is a partner in your business to help you build your real estate empire for kids?
Yes, so a partner or like my husband is a partner with me. That's one partner. He helps because he brings income and money. But outside of our that, I have my sister-in-law, Kemba, who's also a partner. I can also find other people that are looking to invest in real estate, and they could be a friend or a family member, or even just someone who's in business that wants to work together. And that's what we mean by partners. And you can do together, you can either have 2 of you doing it, you can have 5 of you, and the partnership can include 2 or more individuals. And it's not a business partnership as in it means that we're just coming together. It's a collaboration of 2 or more individuals.
Thank you, Miss Andrea. I love what Timmy said. She said you can have your best friend as a partner, siblings, people you want to live with, which is awesome.
Yes.
Joshua says maybe another kid, but you have to be of a certain age, right, to purchase real estate. And
yes.
Timmy also said a roommate could be a partner.
Yes.
And
Yes. Absolutely.
Akira wants to know, how did she know that her sister-in-law would be the right partner? Ooh, that's a good question, Akira.
It is an excellent question. And I knew that she would make a really good partner because when I met her and we talked, she had very similar goals as myself and similar, she was passionate about real estate like I was. And she herself already had experience, not just owning her first, but owning other properties. And so that made to me for a good partner. And she also came with good qualities like she had good credit, she had money to put into the deals, as well as most importantly, she had knowledge, right? And we always, and every time, even with my sister-in-law, even with another partner outside of my family, we always sign paperwork and have it documented what we've agreed on and have it authorized by a lawyer so that it's very clear and we make sure that we protect each other's interests and set it up so that it's a successful partnership.
Fantastic. Sorry, Natalie, if we're going too fast, because a lot of the kids, Miss Andrea, do take notes for every KiddieNomics session. So if you're going too fast, we will slow down, but please remember that every KiddieNomics webinar is recorded, and this recording will be located on our KiddieNomics YouTube channel, so you can always watch it back to then go at your pace and to get all of the notes, okay? So please, everybody, please always remember that. I think we had another question. I think I saw another question. Can I search up the meanings? Oh, Cameron wants to know, I think they wanted to know some of the meanings of some of the, can you go back to the other slide, please, Miss Andrea?
Sure.
I think they did you want to know what equity meant? They wanted to know some of the definitions and cash flow.
Yes, so right below it, I do say that equity is money, right? It's not money in your hands like in the picture that you see, that the pictures that you see there, but it's it's not something that you can touch until you've actually sold it, but it is the value or the gain that you have in your property over time. So my example was if you had, you bought $100,000 property and you held on to it for 5 years, that money, when it grows to say 200,000, the difference between the 200 minus 100, that 100,000 represents equity in your property. And even as you pay that, say you borrowed the 100,000 to buy the property, any amounts that you pay down on that 100,000, that loan that you have at the bank also forms part of the equity. So it's the money that you have that it's like the savings that's growing in your in the house that you bought, and it's savings that you don't get to have until you either sell it, or you might go to the bank and say you'd like to use it for buying other things, and they give it to you in what they call a line of credit. So they'll allow you to borrow from your value in your property to use it and buy more. So it is money. It's just not money that we take with us and spend at the store.
Perfect. I think that's it. Oh,
the cash flow is then, so if I have a property and I'm making $10,000 a month from the property, but I have, $7,000 of expenses, then, the difference, if you type it in the chat, tell me how much of that is left over. Because what's left over, that's my cash flow. That's the money that I get to have to use and live. Maybe I use it to save and build and buy more, or I use it to take care of me, right? To pay my expenses or give me an income. So the difference is 3,000, right? So that 3,000, I want to make sure I have that every time I buy properties, because that will allow me to buy more properties because I can use it as income. I can use it to help fix the property if things happen like they do, the roof goes, or I need to do some renovations, or even if I want to, take care of just fixing things around the property. That cash flow allows me to have that. And I prefer properties that give that, so that I don't have to take from what I'm earning to manage and care for that property.
Perfect. We had another question from Kelsey. She wanted to know, Kelsey, just let me know if this is what you meant by your question. How did you develop your real estate career to then replace your teaching job?
Yes, so it is a good question. And that's what I'm showing you here in this presentation, is that I couldn't just own my only home was the one I lived in, because the one that you live in usually doesn't give you income. I had to buy other properties to generate income from those properties. And I did that by, buying in the right location so that they could appreciate and give me good equity, like I spoke to. And then that equity I can take out and use it as income. Or I did it so that when I looked at all the costs associated with it and what it would bring for income, because the properties do generate income. If I buy a property and rent it out, I charge people to live there and they pay me rent. So the rent they pay me, when it's greater than all my expenses, like everything that I have to pay, like the mortgage and the taxes and the water bills, then the difference, the leftover amount, that gets to be calculated and used as my income. So if I have 3 properties and after all the expenses, they're each paying me $1,000 of cash flow, that becomes my income. And now those 3 properties are giving me $3,000 a month of income. So once I was able to get a certain amount of income from my properties, then I left my job. So I had to buy enough properties, or the right properties, to give me the income that I would have got as a teacher, and then I could leave my teaching job.
Perfect. I think, Veronica, can you just let me know what exactly you don't understand by Miss Andrea, and then we can maybe circle back. But I think that answered all the kids' questions. So you can go ahead, Miss Andrea. Thank you.
The steps to buying investment property is very similar to the steps that we talked about before to buy your first property. So whether you're buying your first or your 10th, you're pretty much going to be doing very similar things. The difference in buying investment properties for me is that I don't want to use the money that I've worked hard and saved. I want to use the money that my properties have accumulated, and that's the equity. And that's why I showed you equity on the last slide. And it's really important that you understand equity, because that's the money that accumulates in my properties that I buy. And then so remember the 100,000 grows to 200, that 100,000, I can take it now and buy another property. And if it grows to $1 million, then I can take out. Most banks will let you take out up to 80% of that. So I can take out 800,000 and use it. I'm using simple math. I can use that 80%, and then I can buy sometimes multiple properties and not just one. And as long as those properties can generate income and carry themselves, and they don't rely on my income, then I can buy many properties. So using the equity as a real estate investor allows you to scale and not just buy 1 or 2 or 3, but tens, hundreds, if you wish. Okay. But you have to be able to be approved. And so when you buy the right properties, they pay for themselves. And we're going to talk about what those right properties are soon. And we're going to look at them. Usually they generate cash flow, and that makes the most sense. Or they're bringing in, the property, say maybe is able to bring in 60,000 and the expenses are 40,000. That 20,000 extra is your income. And the banks and the financial institutions look at it and say, yeah, this is a good property, 60,000 of income after expenses, there's still 20,000 left. Even if expenses go up like taxes or mortgage rates change, they can see that you can still run that property well, and you have a lot of room for changes to happen before, you have to start pulling from maybe your income. And so then most lenders or banks will be happy to approve you when they can see that there's lots of income coming in from the property, more than the expenses. And just like in buying any property, you always want to have an inspection. Then there's your closing date. That's the exciting part. Okay, yes, Miss Stacy? I can't hear you, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. A couple of kids were saying that it's a little too fast. Sorry, Layla. So can you maybe just repeat the steps a little bit slower for them
Okay.
As you're going through, because they're saying it's a little too fast for them.
Okay, so the most important step is understanding equity, right? Because the rest of it is, it's not really you that you have to worry about so much, because the getting approved, you have to go to a bank. You cannot, unless you are already a billionaire and you have lots of money, you can just buy these properties. You're going to go to a bank to get approved. And banks want to know that in order to approve you, they need to see that there's income, right? Just like when you have a job and you're generating income to buy your first property, right? If your income is not enough, the bank is not going to lend you any money to buy that property. Same when you are an investor. If you want to buy a property and you don't want to use your income alone, you want to use the income from the property, the bank needs to see that the property can bring enough income. So that means that you're getting enough rent to generate, say 60,000 because your expenses is, 50,000. Then they know you can be approved because the property on its own has more than enough income to pay the expenses. And the property gets income from rent. So when I rent out my property, whether it's to someone who wants to live in it or someone who wants to run their business from my property, then they pay me income every month. If I tell them that the property is $4,000 of rental income, that's what they pay me. That 4,000 becomes maybe like 50,000 over a year. And that's how I can get approved to get a mortgage for that property. Yes, Ms. Stacy?
Leila wanted to know what is income, but income is your money, Leila. So it is the money that you earn either from your job or from other sources of
the properties that you buy.
That's right, from properties that you may buy. So I think Miss Andrea did go through like how you can earn some income from properties.
Yeah. And I mean, Layla, you're young today. So if you were old enough and you could babysit and someone paid you for that babysitting, that's income that you make. If you do enough babysitting, you can make maybe $100 a week or $200 a week. And so that's considered income. As you get older, you want to get a job and that job will pay you. And the pay that you get is called income.
Perfect.
When I'm an owner of properties, I charge people to rent my properties, and that rent that they give me is my income. That's the money they pay me. And so that's how I get income. Because someone asked, how did you leave your job? And what, were you able to do? Well, I had to make sure that I was going to get enough income from the properties that I bought and rented.
Perfect. Leila, hopefully that answered your question. And if you have any more, please put in the chat box, okay? Perfect. Go ahead, Miss Andrea.
Yeah, so after you get approved, you then go and buy a property. Usually you need experts to do that. You buy your property, in order to know that the property is good and it's right for you, you get an inspection. So you'll have an expert, someone who comes out, and we have that magnifying glass there to say that they're going to look at everything. They're going to look at the roof. They're going to look at the furnace. They're going to look on the floors. They check everything out in the house to make sure that it's good, and that you're going to have, you're buying something that makes sense, and you won't have a lot of fixing to do or work to do after you buy it. And then once you close, that means that you, after the inspection, if everything's good, it means that now the bank is going to pay, you know, that seller, the person who was selling their property, or pay you the money to now have a mortgage, and you now have a property that you're going to go and try to rent out. Yes, Miss Stacy? Rent out.
Sorry, Miss Andrea, I don't mean to interrupt you. Listen, I don't know who's anonymous in this chat, but I will delete you and block you from this chat. Akira, I don't want you talking to this person, or Joshua. Thank you. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Miss Andrea.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So to close that, it just means the day where you get the keys for your property. And if it's yours and you're moving in, great. If you're like me and you're buying and you're trying to build multiples, you're going to close it and then list it for rent, and you find a tenant. And so when you find a tenant, that's the person that pays your income. They become your client. You're happy, you know, to give them something that looks nice, is ready for them to move in and live in. And they pay you in exchange for your property. They pay you every month that rent, and that becomes your income. An example, my first two examples of what I bought was my first home back when I was really, really young. I'm still young, but when I was much younger. This property here is, I felt like it was my dream home. It doesn't look like a lot to maybe some of us today, and especially when I think of my next home that I bought. But at, you know, the age that I bought it, when I left university, I was so proud of myself. I bought it for $100,000. I had to get a mortgage on it still, because obviously I didn't have that money saved. I had enough saved to put as a down payment. I had my income that I was going to earn as a teacher, and I had my 5%, which was $5,000 that I had to put down to buy it. And then I had a mortgage. So the bank then loaned me the difference that I didn't have to pay as a mortgage. And then I started paying monthly for that mortgage. So that was my first home. After my first home, I was able to then buy my second home, and I didn't do it alone this time. This time I did it with my now husband. We bought, and it was about 8 years later that I bought this house. And so the prices of homes had gone up a lot. And now I had two incomes to qualify. We put down more, but the mortgage was bigger because it was a bigger amount, the purchase. But for me, because I had two incomes and I wasn't doing it alone, I felt more comfortable doing that. And so those were my first two purchases. And this second purchase is what we're going to use to show you how you can buy more. Yes, Miss Stacy? I can't hear you again, sorry.
Apologize. Sorry, Miss Andrea. Nope, I said, nope, that's fine. There's no questions. I think somebody had a question on the definition, but I think you explained it very well. So hopefully they can go back
Okay.
and rewatch it. And just remember, everybody, once again, KiddieNomics is recorded, so you can always watch it back to get the definitions and to rewind what Miss Andrea has said, okay?
Yeah, so that second purchase that I made for $300,000, after I had that for several years, I built a lot of equity up in it, hundreds of thousands. And so I went to the bank and asked them to borrow that money. And we call, when you borrow it, you know, like if you go and you get 100,000 from the bank, and they give it to you in what's called a home equity line of credit. So you can then use that money if you wish to buy more. And that's what I did. And because the prices of properties changed over time. And I was buying not just a home for one person to live in, but I was starting to buy multi-units, units that had 2 or 3 or 6 apartment buildings in it. The cost of them were much more. And of course, because I was using money for my properties, I could do this more than once. And that's how you go from owning your first property to your next. You have to use and pull. I don't say you have to, because if you can get an inheritance or if you have savings, you can do it. But for me, to scale and move from 1 to 10, it was using the equity in the properties that I bought already to buy the next and the next. And so eventually I didn't want to just buy homes or condos. I wanted to buy apartment buildings, and I wanted to buy 3-unit apartments or 6-unit apartments. So let's look at one of them here. So sorry, before I show you the one that gives you an idea of what it could look like and pricing, you can buy in all kinds of locations across Canada. And I can see from the chat at the beginning that you're all over the world. And so the prices in other parts of the world can be very different, and they may be less than the market here that I speak about, or they could be greater. But if you're looking, because sometimes when I talk to people that live in the Toronto, Canada area, they think it's expensive. And I'm like, well, then don't buy right where you think it's expensive. Let's go to places where it's more affordable. And so some more affordable places that I've bought include like London, Ontario. So not London, Ontario, Edmonton, Alberta. So we're still in Canada. And Cambridge. These were all areas that I could buy and get. This London property it's an apartment building, so it has 6 units. It's called a sixplex. This one in Edmonton, Alberta, it's a house with 2 units. And then this one in Cambridge has 3 units, known as a triplex. So when you're scaling, you don't want to just buy a property that just allows you to rent to one person, because then you don't make as much money. When you're scaling, you want to buy a property that can give you 2 incomes, 5 incomes, 10 incomes. And that's how you can get to that $1 billion or $1 million portfolio, and of course, incomes of hundreds of thousands.
Perfect. Miss Andrea, sorry, before you go to these next slides, Natalie would like us to go back 2 slides. So not this one, but the one, I think, and Natalie, is it this one? This one or the next one? Is it this one, Natalie? If not, just remember, like I said, that KiddieNomics is recorded, so you can always go back and pause and watch, okay? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Miss Andrea. Thank you.
Yeah, so when you're scaling, you can do it any way you want. You can buy any type of property. But for me, it made more sense to diversify and made more sense to buy as many multi-units as I could to allow myself to get income that would pay not just my property expenses, but also pay me. And so I've always focused on, and when I build multiple properties, I've always done it from what we called a buy and hold. So I didn't want to just buy it, fix it, and sell it. That's one way that you can build in real estate. And some people, they do that. That's called the flip. So you buy the property, you try and get it when it's a little lower price than other properties in the area. You renovate it, so you might fix it up and give it new floors, new paint, new roof, new doors, and then you sell it and make a profit. That's not how I've done mine. I focus largely on what we call the buy and hold, where I buy it today with the goal and the intention to hold it for the long term. And long term for me could be 5 years, 10 years, or passing it on to my kids. Okay. The other ways that you can buy real estate and scale include the joint venture. And I talked about partnering earlier, and that's what we mean by joint venture. So you're now doing it with maybe 2, maybe 5 other individuals. And that way you're not just using your money, you're using the money of 3, 4, 5, and as many people as you feel can make the deal work. And you're also using each other's knowledge and skill set. There's other ways to do it. Some people do it by buying and renting the property to someone who eventually wants to own it and buy it from you. And that's another way to scale and build. So I might buy it, and then I find someone who eventually they rent it from me, and then they buy it from me, maybe in 1 to 3 years of living in it, they can buy it from me. And that's called a rent to own. And that might be another strategy that you could choose to use to scale your real estate business so that you can own dozens. So let's look at the 10-year challenge. I like this because, and this is definitely in the Toronto area, but I like to show it from what I owned. And I'm only going to focus on the top. Sorry. Speaking, Miss Stacy?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so this, I actually had, looked at it from 2011 to 2021, and we even have it right up to 2022. All that has happened in the last year, if you think, but it's 2022, Miss Andrea. Well, all that's happened is the house that you would have bought, that I bought, 10 years ago, where I bought it at, say, 550 in 2011. In 2012, instead of 550, it was closer to 600. And today, in 2022 or even 2021, instead of being worth just 1.25, which is huge, it's like I've doubled the value of my property. In 2022, this number now is $1.5 million because the values of properties have changed so much. And this property, so these are both properties that I've owned, and I've owned them for a lot longer than 10 years, but I just wanted to show you how to scale. The longer you own them, the more wealth you can build, and the more you can use that equity, that wealth in the property, to buy more properties. So that you don't ever get stumped to buy, other than the fact that if you're buying and the bank looks at it and thinks, how are you going to pay that? The property doesn't make enough income to pay it. Then you won't be able to do it when a property doesn't generate enough income. But if the property can generate enough income, and that means maybe you have to leave the location that you're in and move to a different location, then you can definitely buy property after property after property with equity.
That's so amazing. Did everybody get that? Because that was a lot.
It was a lot. It's a mouthful.
Look at those numbers from 2011 to 2021. Do you see the big increase in the property value?
Yeah.
That is so amazing. Oh, Kelsey says, I get it. Oh, that's so awesome. Does everybody understand? Can you put in the chat box, please? Yes, I understand.
And the thing about it, Kiddies, is that you didn't do anything really. All you did was kept that property. You were probably keeping a tenant or someone in there, living in there, and the numbers just changed. I often used to invest when I first started investing in the bank, and I hardly made any money. And I thought, this is crazy. How am I going to build wealth? Well, eventually I realized if I do it in real estate, look at that. I'm getting 27% return on my money. And that's huge. And those are just homes. When you do this with commercial units or apartment buildings, the same happens, and it just grows even faster. This is an example of an apartment.
Sorry, Miss Andrea. Sorry.
Yes.
Nelma had a question. What makes a property increase like that? That's a great question.
It's a great question. And I think what I know is that demand, I said some of it at the outset, but think of it, the more over time, the property value goes up because you've held it for time, right? And prices increase over time. like everything. I don't know if you buy candies from the candy machine, but I remember when I was little, it used to take a quarter to get a gumball. And today it probably takes a loonie or $1 to get a gumball. So over time, things just get more expensive and they grow. So time is one of the things that make it go up. Also, the fact that there's a demand, like more people wanting to buy and own and live in that area or that type of house or that type of condo or that city, all of those things also affect how much the price increases. I also always buy my properties close to amenities that people want to live near. So near big cities or near schools or near hospitals, because when you're close to those types of amenities or uses that people have, then that also has an effect on the value, and it makes the value of your property go up. Does that help you?
I think so. Did that answer your question, Nelma? I hope, let me know in the chat box. And then they said it does. Thank you. Perfect.
Excellent.
Can we, Miss Andrea, just for the space of time,
Yes.
we do have to wrap up soon. I'm not sure
Yes.
how many slides you still have.
No, I think that's good because we gave them a good idea of what you do. So, as you build the portfolio, it can look like this. This is some of the things that I own. You can go from condos to apartment buildings, from, where I live to across the country to other countries. I'm now buying in the US. And when you scale, that's what you try to do. You try to get into many types of cities and countries so that you can diversify what you own and reduce the risk that you have any negative effect on your portfolio. So I think that's a really good thing to do. You don't ever want to just buy all condos or all right next to where you live. If you can go across different economies, different cities, different countries, and different types of real estate, then you will really have a good portfolio.
Well, that was absolutely amazing. I know that this was like a lot to digest in such a short period, and it was a lot of fantastic information, but that was absolutely phenomenal. So we want to thank Miss Andrea.
Yay. Thank you for having me and for asking such amazing questions.
Yes.
I will absolutely come back. I hope Ms. Stacy will invite me to help you with more real estate knowledge so that you can all go to do what you want. And I know you're big dreamers and you're getting the knowledge today so that you can fulfill those dreams.
Absolutely. We cannot wait to see what all of these kids do as they grow up. Hopefully they'll come back and let us all know.
Yes.
We're excited for the future for them, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Can you, if you stop sharing your screen, then I will wrap up everybody in another 2 minutes. Thank you, Miss Andrea. All the kids that thank you online. Thank you for teaching us. That's what they were saying. You can see the comments. I'm just going to share my screen and just wrap up in the next few minutes. All right, so last question, what we always ask on KiddieNomics is, what would happen if kids became more financially literate? And our answer is real change that impacts the world. Why? Because you guys have told us all throughout KiddieNomics, right? You guys have told us how many things that you want to be. I've seen lawyers, I've seen engineers, I've seen scientists, I've seen so many things that you guys have said that you want to be, and financial literacy is
actresses.
Yeah, I've seen actresses. Yep, that was a lot on there. Singers, yeah, we've seen singers. What else? We've seen a lot. Designer. Oh, that's awesome, Cameron. That is awesome, designer. I think that you guys will be able to achieve whatever it is that you guys want to achieve, and financial literacy is just going to be an awesome way to get there, and will always help you throughout your lives. Oh, an NBA player, woohoo!
Awesome.
Be awesome. Hopefully I'll see you playing on one of the teams one day. That would be awesome. All right, so we call you guys our Young Financial Literacy Ambassadors. Why? Because you guys represent us out there. You guys are our authorized messengers and representatives, And I know this because I get messages from your parents that say, oh, so-and-so was talking to their cousins about credit cards, or what is a mortgage, or what is an RESP, or what we can do in real estate. And you guys are absolutely phenomenal, teaching the rest of your family and friends and your community at large, because guess what? On KiddieNomics, we believe knowledge is our
Superpower.
superpower. That's our superpower, knowledge, right? And it really is, the more that you share your superpower of knowledge, the stronger that you will become. So we are super excited about that. All right, let's round up the month for the month of February. So next week, I want to remind everybody that we will be off next week. So please do not join KiddieNomics next week, because next week is family weekends. So it is a long weekend. So we're going to give you guys a break next week. Okay, so there will be no KiddieNomics next week, but we will be back the following week on February 25th, where we are going to be talking about chess. And you're going to, Layla's like, dang it, because we're not going to be on KiddieNomics next week. Don't worry, we're always back. We'll always be back. So we're going to talk about chess, and you're going to wonder why we're talking about chess on kids' financial literacy. Well, because chess talks about strategizing, and it makes you think about doing your next moves. And then we're also going to be talking about how you can make money in chess. So this is going to be super cool for you guys, because I think chess is such an amazing game, even though I don't know how to play it, but I would love Nikki to learn so she could teach me. That's awesome, Andrea, you play chess. That's awesome. So please join us the February 25th, where we're going to talk about chess. And then for the month of March, we're going to be talking more about real estate. So I will have that schedule up on the February 25th. Episode will have all the webinars for the month of March, but we will be off for March break. Okay, all right. So rounding out the last bit of KiddieNomics, please remember that I always want to hear from you. We want to hear different topics that you may want to learn about. If you have a guest expert that you would like to see on KiddieNomics, please let me know. Please send me an email at kiddienomics101@gmail.com. Please never send me anything without your parents' express permission. Hey! Sorry, that's my little one. And of course, if you found value in what we do here on KiddieNomics, please forget to like and follow us on
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and
TikTok. Yes, and TikTok. All right. Okay, so, and please use the hashtag KiddieNomics or Ask KiddieNomics so that we can follow you guys, which would be awesome. All right. Thank you again, Miss Andrea, because this was an awesome, so much detail, so much knowledge.
so much.
Like, you guys cannot say this was like the monopoly of learning how to scale your real estate. So now you guys got to really deep dive into it. And I think that was awesome. So thank you so much, Miss Andrea. You did a phenomenal job. Big round of applause again.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, we'd like to see everybody back on February 25th, okay? And have a fantastic week next week. And if it's a break for you, I know everybody's not from Ontario, so if it's not a break for you, sorry, it is a break for us here in Ontario. So we'll see you the following week on February 25th, and have a good week. Bye.
Bye.